You ever wonder why major insurers spend billions of dollars on marketing every single year? Stay tuned. We're going to tell you, and you're not going to like it. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Airing of Grievances. My name is Eric Reamer. Thanks so much for taking time out of your day to join us for ours. Listen, Rob is away this week, but don't you worry. I got a great show for you. We're going to answer the question why major insurers spend billions of dollars on marketing every single year. And it starts with an article that I found on LinkedIn, and I think you'll enjoy it. Listen to this. You've heard the slogans, like a good neighbor, you're in good hands. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. But here's what those ads aren't telling you. These companies aren't just selling insurance, they're buying trust, influence, and most of all, protection from accountability. Critical thinking tells us that branding is a shield from scrutiny. Strong branding builds more than loyalty, it builds insulation. When an insurer is beloved by the public and saturates the airwaves with good feeling messaging, it becomes politically dangerous to challenge them. It's a tactic we've seen before. Think big pharma, think big tobacco. Control the public narrative and you delay regulation, lawsuits, and reform. Emotional thinking forms the illusion of partnership. To the average driver, insurers appear as safety advocates. But if you're headfirst in this industry, if you've ever read an OEM or original equipment manufacturer procedure, you know the truth. Behind that friendly jingle, critical repair steps are being denied. OEM guidelines are disregarded. Safety is sacrificed for cost cutting. And who fights to uphold those standards? We do, as ethical and committed repairers. While insurers flood the public with reassurance, it's shops like ours taking the heat when we refuse to cut corners. Emotional trust and critical thought are then weaponized. It's infuriating to see companies sell themselves as protectors while undermining the very standards that keep people safe. They build trust with consumers, then use that trust to discredit us, the shops, pressure technicians, and bully those shops into silence. So again, why do they spend so much money on marketing? Because it works. It protects them. It distracts the public, and it makes it harder for truth tellers in this great industry to be heard. Let's change that. That, my friends, is an article that was posted on LinkedIn by our good friend and somebody that you've seen if you've been a longtime watcher of this this video series, Drew Plischke. Drew, brother, welcome back.
Glad to be back. Thank you.
Oh, you're raising a glass. Okay, I got you. I got you this time. Happy Saturday to you, brother.
Happy Saturday.
And to all of you. Thank you for tuning in. It's always a privilege to share this time with you. And Drew, introduce yourself to the audience again, please. Tell us who you are, who you work for, and let us know a little bit about you.
So my name's Drew Plischke, and I work for a great company in Chicago called Gold Coast Autobody. We're on Goose Island in Chicago, and we've been here for about 25 years. We're a family-owned and operated independent collision repairer in a huge market. And my position with the company and roles in the company have changed throughout the years, Eric. I've been with them for 20 years. So I, came in as an estimator, moved through production manager, became a chief operating officer, and then became the director of client insurance reconciliation, which is, I think I'm the only one out there that is carrying a title like this. My job and role with the company is to educate, advocate, and empower the consumer to navigate what can be a rough road when it comes to being fully indemnified for the loss of your property, and in this case, an automobile.
Yeah, that's I'm telling you, what you do is so important. And, to be the liaison between consumers and insurers and to advocate on behalf of the consumer, but to advocate from the angle of what's good for the shop is good for the consumer, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you what, it's and that's a two-way street. What's good for the consumer is also good for the shop. And ultimately, I'd like to believe that it can be good for the insurer too. It seems like so many times insurers step over dollars to pick up dimes, and they end up spending more money in the process of denying claims than they ever would if they had just paid the claim properly.
And we know this for sure because we see insurers pay proper claims.
Yeah,
So I agree 100%.
yeah, exactly right. Well, Drew, I just read your most recent post on LinkedIn, and man, oh man, it stopped me dead in my tracks. It is absolutely spot on. I told you before we started recording that I could have written this. It just feels so familiar. And of course, it's familiar because we're bucking up against a system that is uh, polluted. It's stacked against the consumer, and subsequently, it's stacked against the shops. And I'll say this, and I don't know if you'll jump on this or not, but I'll say that it seems like it's not just stacked against independent shops, which it most certainly is, as we at Nyland's Collision Center can say, and many of our friends who have independent shops around the country, we can clearly say that the insurance game is certainly against the shops. But it seems to me that it's also working against the shops that are on the partnership roles with the insurers as well. They call them DRPs, direct repair programs. That those partnerships, the idea behind them is great, right? If you get on board with our conditions, we're going to send you all kinds of business. And to the shops that agree to that, which is the great majority of repair shops in the country, that rings, that sounds attractive, right? But what we end up finding out is when you are in that partnership and the insurer says, put on aftermarket or salvage parts or the worst things you could possibly do, overlooking the OEM procedures and just not being willing to pay for the things that are necessary for a proper repair, all of a sudden, those direct repair shops are compromised by their need to do what they're told to do. And in many cases, I think I might be right in saying in every case, the shop is ultimately responsible for the quality of the repair. And the insurer,
And the liability of the repair.
well, that's what
Their
I meant.
reputation is the quality of the repair,
Yeah,
but we're liable for the repair.
yeah,
And, the message in the LinkedIn post is to look at this through different lenses, because remember that what I do is strictly consumer based,
yeah,
but the things that I share or write come more for the repairers, because we're really the problem, Eric,
yeah,
because of just the things that you perfectly described, right? We feel like letting the bull in the china shop was the right thing to do long ago. And what I recognize is I'm the china, and that's where, if you're just constantly emotionally thinking like the consumer is. So
right.
remember, this is a project of what a consumer experienced, this writing or this post. But I look at it through a critical thinker as it relates to being a collision repairer who is in place to first and foremost safely and properly repair automobiles.
Yeah.
to the absolute best of my capabilities with the commitment to creating a better version of myself every day, because these things are constantly changing, right?
Right.
So now I put emotional thinking into that post because I know that that's where my consumer's coming from. They're always emotionally thinking. They've been removed from their automobile.
Right. They've been
I mean,
traumatized by the accident and then traumatized again in the process.
by behaviors of insurance carriers. And it's because there's this gap of education, which is what we talked about in our last, you know, thing that we did together, where
Yeah.
we said, what was it that, everything smells good until the butt shows up.
That's exactly right. And if for that,
Right. So
video, I'll put a link up here, folks, and you can take a look at that after we're done with this one.
certainly my advocating and my consistent educating has turned into, this broad capability of empowering. So not only the consumer, but I've been given this opportunity through our association to kind of trailblaze through the state of Illinois, introducing legislation that's in place to govern us as licensed repairers, right? And protect consumers. And it's called the Illinois Collision Repair Act. And, through this March, which is now over 12 months, I've had this opportunity to certainly get in front of a lot of repairers.
Oh, yeah.
Meet some incredibly interesting people that typically are second generation, but some are third, some are first. But they've already been in the game for 15, 20 years.
Sure.
But the first thing that got me kind of fired up was I read an article a while back, I think this was in 23 or 24, that was written about negotiating with insurance companies. And it infuriated my passion, right? Because of my experience throughout the day with my consumer, and knowing that shops negotiating with insurance carriers as it relates to the cost of the repairs of the vehicle is detrimental to them, and therefore to the consumer, and therefore to the other repairers.
Yeah.
And that's, my real message through, hey, why are they spending all of this money? This billions and billions of dollars. Do you think it's just to draw the consumer in? Don't get me wrong. They need to draw the consumer in.
Sure.
They're aware of that.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of other things that people are just not recognizing. And for the consumer, the big one is what is this product that you're purchasing? And what does it say?
Right.
And if you actually have to engage in using it, how does it protect you and your property? And the unfortunate thing is that consumer knows very little to nothing about that, right?
Yeah,
so
we advocate all the time, Drew. We advocate all the time.
I know.
For reading your policy, right?
Yeah.
Getting to know. Don't just say, because the minute you make your first payment, you've agreed to it, and it's a legal document. And so, we absolutely say you got to know what it is. And
so I wrote a rebuttal to this article that I wrote, right? So that it motivated me enough to do this. And that's where things kind of, took off for me. And then they asked me to follow that rebuttal up with another article, which was called Ring Around the Rosie, which I think that you can get an idea what that was about. And of course, use that nursery rhyme for a specific reason.
It's about the plague, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pocket pull posy, ashes, ashes, we all fall down, right? So again, I'm trying to speak through my experiences with consumers to educate, advocate, and empower repairers to understand that, there's a different way of doing this. I'm a product of airing of grievances. I started watching you guys 3.5 years ago,
Okay.
and we were already certainly down the path of safely and properly repairing vehicles and educating, advocating, and empowering consumers. But again, if you're in this with the motive of every day creating a better version of yourself, then you can't find a better place than Saturday morning, because there's some really powerful messages,
Yeah.
both for the consumer, but certainly for the shop as we approach, right? So it went from Ring Around the Rosie. Then I got an opportunity to do some stuff with Thomas Greco Publishing, right? And they do Hammer and Dolly, but their big things are they do Texas Automotive, New England Automotive, New Jersey Automotive, Minnesota, and it's all aligned with their associations.
Sure.
And a lot of that talk and writing was to go back into history to see how did our industry get to where we are. And a lot of the talk was, when did they actually start to um, deploy the direct repair strategy or the market um, manipulation, to
Right.
be honest, strategy. And it goes back long ago. You got to go into the 40s.
Yeah, you went further than I remember looking at some documentation. I didn't do a whole ton of research, but I'd started down the garden path. And I think I got to the early 60s when legislation started coming out against this monster that had been created.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep.
Well,
So
Drew,
from there it went to um, having stuff published in Body Shop Business News, and that's where um, true cost of repairs showed up. And then before that, there was what they do, a reader's choice thing where their subscribers write in a specific question, and whatever kind of catches the magazine's attention as it relates to what these questions are, they reach out to people in the industry. And the one that we did was, how do we get reimbursed when we can't bill the customer? Just think about that. The repairer is thinking that they can't bill the cat that's driving the car.
yeah,
It's a bad problem.
it is a bad problem. And a lot of times we don't talk about often, perhaps even often enough, about the pressures on the shop, right?
Mm.
And maybe we should. Ours has always been, consumer focused, consumer forward, but this affects the consumer. And you talk about the shops that are confused about or unwilling to bill the consumer, and the consumer is stuck with the bill even though they've paid all their lives on time to their insurer, right? Um, and the downward pressure is insurance companies, and I want to do a story on this. I'm working behind the scenes with Rob to craft a story telling the reality of the downward pressure that insurers are putting upon shops to pay for the accident, right?
Mm.
To pay for the proper repair. When they say, no, we're not going to pay for this procedure, but the OEM says that procedure is a critical step you've got to pay for that. So you've got to do it. And the shop is stuck saying, well, who's going to pay for it? And the insurer says, not us. And all of a sudden now it's handed down to the consumer. And when it's handed down to the consumer, there's pushback because, wait a minute, I pay my insurance. And if I go to one of those DRP shops, they tell me I won't have to come out of pocket. But what they don't tell you is that you are not likely to get a complete repair. And they will put aftermarket parts on or salvage parts on. And they skip procedures that they don't think are necessary. And this whole game is a vicious cycle. And man, ring around the rosy is correct.
Everything that you say there is 100% true. Here's the magic, Eric. The magic is, and I end everything that I do with who is truly in control of this.
Yeah.
And it's us as the repairer. Look, folks, the vehicle owner is who you work for. No one else. Bill them. That's where the magic is. I heard a great statement today. And it stuck with me all day, right? And it came from a gentleman named Blake Farley. I don't know if you know who Blake is. He's pretty well known in our industry because he's very like-minded as we are. It's about quality repairs and then educating and advocating and empowering the consumer. And his statement was this. It was, safe and proper repairs first. Everything else will fall in place.
Yeah.
And boy, did that resonate with me, because if that is your mindset, he is 100% correct.
Yes.
Everything else will fall in place. It might go in 1,000 different directions. It most likely will go in 1,000 different directions.
There will certainly be some tense phone calls.
Yes, and exchanges.
Yeah.
But if you are confident in the safe and proper repair of the car, and you're confident in knowing that you've captured the right consumer, you're just going to fix the car. And if it's a first party claim, depending on deltas or shortfalls, RTAs.
Okay, you just used deltas, shortfalls, and RTAs, and our audience does not have a clue what those are. What does that mean?
So the delta would be the difference between what the true cost to repair the automobile would be and what the insurance carrier is currently offering the vehicle owner, whether that be insured or a claimant.
Right. And an RTA?
Okay. An RTA is a right to appraisal, which is a mechanism within the insurer's policy that allows them to dispute a situation like this, right? So if they are in the hands of a repairer that is truly committed to safely and properly repairing the car, then what the insurance carrier says as it relates to the repair of that car really doesn't mean a whole lot. It means nothing to us. Our vehicles are repaired per our blueprints, right? So we really look at a settlement offering from the last page, and then we move forward from that so that we can do our editing and figure out where we need to have further conversation as respect to, did we miss something here? Is there something else we can provide?
Yeah.
Well, of course, we quickly figure out that that's not the case. They're just saying, I'm sorry. Well, if this consumer would have taken their car to one of our preferred shops, then they wouldn't be experiencing this. But the facts of the matter are is that doesn't really work.
No.
Long as you're confident enough to educate yourself about what is real, and then have the courage enough to have that real conversation with the vehicle owner.
Yeah.
And as Blake says, then everything will fall in place. Will they leave the facility with having to possibly pay something out of pocket? Yes, especially if they're a consumer that wants to be reunited with their car,
Right. Yeah.
right? That, and then really once the two non-obligated entities are removed. So let me give you a definition of that, right? So non-obligated entities would be the insurance carrier and the repairer. Shocking,
Yeah.
but they're the two non-obligated entities. There's not an insurer in the nation that's contractually obligated to a repairer, even if they have one of these contracts with each other. And then vice versa, there's no repairer that's responsible or legally obligated to an insurance company, yet they want those two entities to be negotiating the true cost to repair the car.
Yeah.
And that's where things can get funny.
Yeah. And by funny, you got the first two letters right. Let's do this because this has gone on quite a while. Drew, first of all, I want you to introduce me to Blake because he sounds like he'd be great for an episode, several here on this channel. And second,
Agreed.
you know, I've said it 1,000 times and it's worth saying again. You should not purchase your insurance based upon the good feelings or vibes that they give you with their jingles and their slogans. This is a concept so simple, even a caveman should understand it. You shouldn't choose your insurer based on those great advertising. If that were the case, I think Allstate and their Mayhem commercials are probably the best out there. But that's not why we buy insurance. We buy insurance to be covered, to be made whole, that big word that you used at the beginning of this, indemnified during a time of loss. And the best thing that you can do is to research your insurer. We've mentioned it a number of times, even recently. The Crash Network puts out the insurer report card every single year. I'll put a link to that in the description box below. And then when you find the insurer that you want to go with, and you might pay a premium to get to the insurers that cover you the way you should be covered. By the way, most of those people with the advertisements find their way all the way down to the last pages of that insurer report card. They have C, C minus, D's, and F's next to their names. And that's for a reason. And it's the reason that we just talked about. But ultimately, you should also put on riders like the OEM rider if necessary, or just, any of the things that can help you. Maybe an OEM glass or an OEM rider for your parts, or any of the other things that go along with that. And just do your due diligence. And I know it's not a fun thing, but it's something that is so necessary because ultimately you are responsible for the repair of your car. And that's why we say you should also find a repairer who cares as much about the safety of the operation of your vehicle as you do.
That's key right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
That is
absolutely.
really key
Absolutely.
because they're already in the situation with the carrier. So you knowing who's repairing your car then becomes very key. Then you can change.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
We try to advocate for being proactive and learning about this before you need it. But if you're in the situation where you need it today,
we're talking to driving schools about educating the new coming driver. We think that grassroots might be the way because insurance is traditional as well, right? It gets passed down.
Yes, it does.
So, yeah. So we think that might be a good avenue to get in front of that, right?
Well, I'll tell you what, Drew, you mentioned the true cost of doing a repair, and that's another article that you wrote, and it was written up in one of the trade magazines.
Body shop business.
Yeah, next time we have you on, I want to discuss that article and maybe peel back a couple of layers of onion that I found in that. Does that sound all right?
That sounds wonderful. And thank you guys again for inviting me back. And um, this is just going to fuel my fire even more.
Right there with you.
Yeah.
All right,
Awesome.
brother.
Thank you so much.
Raise your glass, brother, and let's wish our viewers another happy Saturday. Thank you so much for joining us. And on behalf of Rob and myself, we want to thank you, Drew, for helping us figure out what we're doing. And whatever you do, folks, if you want more of this kind of information, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and click on the playlist, the Airing of Grievances, that we have in this channel. There are 4.5 years of Saturday mornings content with it, and we've never duplicated anything exactly. So, Drew, thank you, brother. We appreciate you.
Happy Saturday. Thank you, brother.
To you. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks again for watching. We'll see you again next Saturday.